Check this out, y'all, right? I got another one for you. This one right here gonna be a message to the children who, quote unquote, supposedly come from a broken home. And what I mean by that is, we do have like a high ratio percentage of people who didn't grow up in the same household with their parents. I do acknowledge that. To be honest with you, I was one of them. I'm one of them. And my whole thing is, what brings me here today on that topic is, a lot of times, where we have like children who grew up probably with just their moms, or you got some children just grew up with their dad, both parties not being in a household. We seem to use that as an excuse. And it bothers me because to this day, when I listen to people conversation, and that be the first thing, like, well, I ain't grew up in a household with both of my parents, this and the third. Get over it. It is what it is. A lot of things that we go through in life, y'all, is a test. You gotta get past that. Again, I'm a prime example. I ain't grew up with my dad, but guess what? Once my father's instincts started kicking in, it was head over heel. I didn't need him. I didn't need him for him to teach me how to be a father. And guess what? Being as though my dad wasn't never there or whatever for me, I'm still cool with him. That don't bother me. What is it gonna bother me for? Because at the end of the day, I'm still the person who I'm supposed to be today. I'm a father. I'm a good father. At the end of the day, all my kids know who their dad is, regardless of the fact whether me and their moms made it or didn't raise them. It is what it is. I still made an effort for my kids to know who I am. And I'm saying this for a purpose. We can't keep trying to play the victim or try to feel sorry for ourselves because we didn't grow up in the same household with both our parents. That's not what it is. The fact of the matter is for you to deal with it and get over it and proceed to move on. That's it. Point blank period. You feel me? If you knew that you grew up in a broken home and you ain't both of your parents wasn't there for you or whatever, or like one of the parents wasn't there for you, guess what? When you get older, you set a better example. So when you have kids, guess what? You make sure you be there for your kids, you and your significant other. That's why it's another thing. You need to figure out who you're laying down with. Know the person before you lay down and start having kids by them. This go for man and female. Because I notice we tend to lay down with women, or vice versa, men and males and females. This go for both the men and the women. We're soon to lay down. We got a thing to it. We want to lay down and start having babies with strangers, and then once the child get here or whatever, the attitudes and everything start changing, and then everything head over heel. You know what I mean? And I'm not pointing a finger at nobody, but a lot of times, like when it comes to the kids, a lot of that stuff can be avoided, but it don't be avoided because you know why? It's like this is a woman's world. The woman got the upper hand. And you know what? And I'm not just going to sit here and just point the finger at the woman because it's the man too. The male feel as though just because he can't be bothered with that woman, oh yeah, I don't want to deal with the kids. Man, you's a punk for that. Regardless of the fact, whatever you and that woman go through, at the end of the day, ain't none of them children asked to be born here. And just because the woman don't want to be bothered with you, you don't want to deal with the children. Like, I done heard so many conversations about this, y'all, to where so like, men is not really being in their kid's life because the female don't want to deal with them no more. Well, guess what? As a man, you should have figured out what the hell you was laying down with before you laid down and made that child. Point blank period. You know what I'm saying? there's no excuse at the end of the day. You learn from your mistakes. But again, we got a lot of brothers that constantly keep making the same mistakes over and over and over and over again. And they need to stop. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just speaking facts, y'all. You know what I mean? This go for me too. You know what I mean? Like, I'm speaking in general. You get what I'm saying? I never, on the other end, me, period, I never once denied none of my kids because the mother or whatever, we broke up and we had no more dealings. Nah, that's some sucker stuff, man. Point blank, period. You know what I mean? If a female don't want to deal with you, she don't want to deal with you. It is what it is. Just accept it for what it is. Ain't nothing you can do about it. Move on. But just because you move on, that don't mean to go keep having more kids by other women as well, too. Nah. You know what I mean? Tighten your game up. If you know you went or whatever, I don't care if you got 1 or 2 kids by this woman or whatever the case may be, things ain't work out right. Try to be more lenient before you step back out there, you know what I mean, start having more kids. You get what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Because if I was able to start over, like, it is what it is, you know what I mean? My book ain't written like that or whatever, but, you know, I got kids and I got different baby mothers or whatever, and I'm just telling you through experience, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to do better as men, you know what I'm saying? I had my first seed when I was 15 years old, you know what I mean? So that right there go to show you how I grew up. I had my first seed when I was 15 years old. Let's think about it. I got a total of 5 kids with 4 baby mothers. There's nothing cute about that. You get what I'm saying? But you learn from your mistakes at the end of the day. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, at my last results, I ended up with a total of 5 kids, right? My youngest was 4 and 5 years old right now, whatever, you know what I'm saying? And once upon a time, my 4 and 5 year old, whatever, that became the woman that they mother. That was the lady that I had once married. Point blank, period. You get what I'm saying? So I still fixed it. It don't matter. You feel me? Because my kids was not born out of wedlock, and my other kids was, but my 2 toddlers, they're not born out of wedlock. So I take it for what it is or whatever. But only thing I'm trying to tell y'all is, you know what I mean, like, children. As far as you know, you grew up or whatever, and like that parent ain't, you know, in your life or whatever. That one parent ain't in your life, whatever. You know what I mean? You got to learn as you get older to get past that. You know what I mean? Like, you still got room for growth. You know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. You gotta accept things for what it is. You know what I mean? You wasn't born to be here. So certain errors and certain things that come or whatever, you got to learn how to accept it for what it is. Ain't nothing you could do about it, but just proceed to live on. You feel me? And I say that to say this: just because you go through what you go through, that don't necessarily mean that you're supposed to sit there and hold grudges against that party because you don't know what happened between that man and that woman. You know what I mean? So again, sometimes you got men to pull out. Sometimes it be the female that pull out. You know what I mean? It really depends on the situation. But I don't think just because your mom or your dad wasn't in your life, whatever, and you want to be mad at them growing up, nah, sit down and have a talk with them and find out the reason before you jump into conclusions, because you really don't know what happened. You really don't know what happened. I see a lot of people, man, I ain't effing with that ninja. You get what I'm saying? You want to say that about your dad and this, that, and the third, but yet still you really don't know what happened. Until you find out, get the facts before you want to get mad at your dad. Because a lot of times, sometimes, real truthfully, y'all, dads just don't walk out a kid's life. I'm going to tell you something. Think about that. Dads just don't walk out a kid's life like that. And a lot of times, the dads be the one that's be recognized as deadbeat, because after kids grow up, the dad ain't there. And that was a picture painted.